Righto, it's 4:20 in the morning, it's raining. Let's go do Ride London. We're cycling over to Ride London now. Well, the idea of this video is basically just to ask, is Ride London worth it? Unfortunately, I never got to do the Surrey route. Well, this is my first Ride London total. So I'm going to find out, I'm going to judge the route, the surface, how busy it is. I've heard it's a bit of a crash fest, so a little bit worried about that. But hopefully the sun comes out a bit later and dries up these roads. I suspect there's going to be a few punctures today. I've just rolled over the start line. I didn't realise that you just roll over. I thought they were going to start you as a wave. But that's fine. Still just kind of stuck in the traffic here, so everyone's going pretty slow. We'll get into it soon. We're getting close to 20k in now, and the punctures have been numerous. I can honestly tell you there's been minimum 100 punctures. We're only up to 20k. He's on the line bike to get himself home, that's punctures. Before the event itself, it really was raining hard, and when it rains hard and fast like it does like this in the UK, you tend to get a lot of debris and rubbish that comes onto the roads, and you do have a lot of punctures. I think for an event as Ride London, there were so many punctures, I didn't get a chance to film them all. But really, they probably should have had a few motorbikes rolling around just with puncture repair kits, just to help people out, especially because you can predict that it's going to happen because of the weather we had beforehand. So it's just kind of started opening up. We're kind of getting towards the outskirts of London now. They've kind of just stuck us on the rubbish roads. You don't really get to see anything. I didn't see much of the city, so a bit disappointed with the start. I know you come over Tower Bridge on the finish, so that might be better though. Well, we've had our first roadblock. I don't know what's happened here, but we've had to stop, and I guess we'll get going in a sec. On that topic of stops, there were 3 times that Laura and I actually had to stop because they had to let cars through. And these weren't just the site cars or the event cars, these were just public cars. So we stopped for a total of about 5 to 7 minutes just waiting for cars to come through. And to be honest, just close the roads off. Keep them closed, it doesn't matter. The event's too big to have this. Also, if they are doing this, I think they should probably have the stopping sections where they have the sensors to stop your chip time, as 5 to 7 minutes can quite significantly impact your average speed if that's what you're going for. 50k in, another 50 punctures. It's finally just started to reduce the chaos, and the scenery is starting to get a little bit better as well now. So I'm starting to enjoy the ride a bit more. I can settle into my own rhythm. As we really started to get into the ride here, I noticed that there were 2 people, one with a time trial bike, one on his aero bars. There were a few other aero bars as well, but I didn't see people in them. But man, you've got to get out those aero bars on an event like this. Like, surely, if you watch this channel a lot, I love time trial bikes and I love time trialing, but this is not the place to have that bike. Get rid of them, don't let them in. You can't be on the aero bars with this many people around. No go. We've just ticked over mile 50, and I can't believe how busy it is still. Absolutely stacked, the whole road, left to right, both sides. Just seen my first crash. Unfortunately, just a loss of focus for 2 guys. They seem to be okay, it's relatively low speed. I think they'll be all right. We've come to the second stop. We totally dodged the first one, and you've got to come off your bike and walk quite a long way, but thankfully, they actually stop your time. So it means when you go in and come back out, you're on the same time basically. So, I mean, you can spend as much time as you want in here, I guess. It's maybe taking the piss a little bit, but you know, you don't get punished for grabbing some food. It's good. Whilst I'm waiting, it's a good chance to review the course, and if I had to give it one word so far, it would be easy. But I think that has its advantages. So if you want to have a really fast course, like you're with a good group of guys and you want to leave early, you can really push it. The time that we left, which was closer to 7 a.m, it's too busy to push it. You can't really get the speed up because you're always trying to overtake people. But then on the other side, if you're, you know, more of a beginner, I think anyone could do this ride. If you've just started cycling, you can handle this ride no problem. There's nothing steep, there's nothing too hard. It's just very rolling, and we haven't had anything too difficult yet. One thing I would have recommended is stopping at the first stop instead of the second one here, like we have, because there's quite a long queue to get simple stuff like coffee and a snack and things like that. So I'll stop at the first one. As I'm talking about the other 2 stops, so there's 3, there's one at the first quarter, one in the middle, one at the third quarter. I didn't get any B-roll footage, but
they looked like they were better stocked and less people at them. So there was more access to food and gels and stuff like that, especially the first stop. If you can, stop there, get loads of food and gels, your time's paused anyway. Another thing that I noticed is that I couldn't find any carbohydrate drinks. They were giving out water, which is great, but I quite like to take my carbs through a drink, and I'd rather fill up that way than just fill up on gels as well. Just a personal thing, that one. As for how the rest of the ride went, I didn't film it, so I'm talking to you now. It was much of the same, just kind of like general countryside. The road surface was fine for here in the UK, the normal amount of potholes. Then there was one hill towards the end, I can't remember what it's called, post it in here. It wasn't a tough hill. I mean, even Box Hill's a fairly easy hill, and it wasn't even as hard as Box Hill. Anyone can get up here really, it wasn't too much of a challenge. And if you're still looking for a very fast time, it won't really get in your way. Apart from that hill, the only bits that really bothered me on the ride were the narrower congestion zones. So sometimes it went from both sides of the road down to one lane. And this is where it really tightened up and you just couldn't get past people. There were just too many people to really hold your own personal speed. Or if you're going for a faster time, you had to be shouting all the time, on your right, on your right.
Well, we're done. We're at the finish, like 166k or whatever that was. But yeah, the ride was, I'm going to give the whole thing a 6 out of 10. There's a few things that annoyed me, and the weather wasn't one of them. We did get downpoured on again. But there was 3 moments where we had to stop, come to a hard stop, and just let some cars come past. I feel like if you're closing the roads, just close them. It just takes away all of your momentum. It takes away a lot of the enjoyment out of it, just to sit and watch cars go past 2 minutes. So that actually bugged me quite a lot.
Finally, on that topic of stops, this brings me into crashes. For the last time we had to stop for traffic to come through, we stopped for about 2 minutes there. Laura and I had to come to quite a quick stop as we pulled up to it. Then a gentleman did actually go into the back of Laura. It was a slow speed one, so thankfully nothing happened, but I can see there being another crash situation there. On the topic of crashes, I did see 2 more, and these were when the zones got narrower. As I said earlier in the video, as you were leaving London and as you were coming back into the outskirts of it, it's just because the group bunches up more. So if you're going to be focused, it's got to be those 2 times. I think people were just getting tired and just losing a bit of focus, which is why it happened.
I'm also at the end here, I was expecting more food, more drinks, stuff like that. There's like nothing. You get like 1 high five energy bar, and that's about it. I'm very hungry and I want to eat.
When it comes to the toilet situation, they actually did very well here. There were basically every 10 miles along the course, and there were signposted about 1 to 2 kilometers before you got to the toilets as well. So they were very frequent, and you could always get into one if you needed to. They were just along the whole course. You didn't need to pee along the side of the road, and actually I didn't see anyone doing it. Here are my final conclusions for how the event is and do I like it. First of all, I think if you're a beginner, this is a great course for you. You could very easily get around it. You can go at your speed, you can do it with a group of friends, and there's good enough fuel along the way. Also, there's not much climbing in there. There's 1,200 meters, which seems like a lot, but it's very rolling. You really hold a lot of speed as you go through the event. And that being said, it could also be great if it's your first sportif or your first 100 miler as well. So I think it's a very good one for that. The other group of people that I think this would be very fun for is if you're just with your group of mates, could be whoever, and you're all going to go for a fast time. You want to see how fast you can do 100 miles, then this course is for you. Like I said, it's fast, it's rolling, and it's mostly uninterrupted if you get lucky. I will say, as a rating, this event gets a 7 out of 10 for me because it is well organized for just how many people are there. It's almost unfathomable how many people do Ride London. With that being said, I don't need to do it again. If I was going to go with a group of guys and do 100 miles as fast as I could, then yeah, I would go back, but I don't have the desire to go do it again. I just wasn't wowed by the event. The roads were okay, the scenery, meh, you didn't see much. You didn't get to see too many of the sight stuff at London. The Tower Bridge thing at the end was very cool, but you didn't get to see much of it still. With all of that being said, I mean, Laura and I, we had quite a good laugh afterwards, and I think a sign of a good event is you tend to talk about it afterwards because you enjoyed it. But as I said, wasn't wowed by it. Well guys, I'd love to know what you thought about Ride London. Did you have the same experiences as me, or was it different? I've been Jason, this has been Cycling Unboxed. I'll see you in another video.